Good evening, everybody. Jei'mar, what's up, man?
Coach D, what's up, baby?
It's vested time, my friend. It is about that time.
Boom. Vested community. Hey, we're back in action.
Here
Coach
we are.
Where we continuing our journey on today?
Look, we're doing a 3-part series on the map. Last week we did mindfulness. This week we're going to do awareness. Next week we're going to focus on purpose. So today we will expand on, I guess it would be episode 2 of the map. So before we get into the map, Jei'mar, talk to me a little bit. Where you at, man? How you been?
Man, I'm flying, rocking and rolling. I'm so grateful to be here right now in this moment, talking about awareness, and being here with you, man. I'm always grateful to have this space with you and talk to our vested community, man. I'm just so grateful to be here. That's where my focus is. That's where I'm aware of what we get to do. We get to be here right now. But question, Coach D, because maybe someone didn't see the start of the map last week and they're coming in for the first time here, or they're just catching this series as it's recorded for the future, right? How did you come across, I know we're going to get there, but how did you come across to manifest the map? How did it connect for you?
I want to say that it was random plucking of things to try to figure out what worked. And I have a process of kind of how I was able to start to isolate my thoughts and rearrange some of the ways that I used to be able to do things. So it wasn't always a really clear process. I mean, there was no book that said, follow this and you'll get there, especially when it comes to catastrophic things that happen or stuff that's outside of your control. So I'm excited to be able to share the map, especially at this time, because there's a lot going on in our world that's out of our control. At least it seems as though it is. So what is under our control is my choice to be able to do something special. And as my brother just commented, that this must be special, this vested show, because I'm missing the first game of the season. And Jei'mar, I have an addiction that I'd like to share with you and everybody else.
Oh my God, tell me,
football, man. Football is my addiction. I love that game. I found purity in it. I found purity in between the lines. It's a game with a set of rules that as long as you follow those rules, there's a lot of logic, the teamwork, the plays, the strategies, and it applies to life a lot. It's very much like chess. So I love it. I know you love it. Jei'mar, can we talk about some stuff other than football that we might be aware of right now? What are we aware of that's going on in our world?
Wait, hold on, bro. Hold on. If we're going to talk about football for a second, go, Pack, go. I had to make sure everyone knows out there that I'm a Green Bay fan, Packer Nation, best team in the league. Come on, the Lombardi Trophy. Hello.
Anyways. It's about Packers. You guys are like brainwashed or something like that.
Who's your team? The who? The who? I mean, you may got the best stadium in the football league, but what about your team?
Jei'mar, I'm a Cowboys fan. And it's been a difficult run for us over the last couple of years. So I've had to find other teams to root for. But being a team player, it's funny that we bring this up. In terms of awareness, that's what this game helped me achieve. I started to recognize the value behind teamwork and hard work and executing strategies and the bigger picture, right? So when school or the traditional ways of learning didn't exactly always work out for me, I found another way. And when we get back to the map, I would have to say that in particular was my other way, because I was programmed towards achieving in a certain manner. And then once everything got shook up, I didn't know what to do. So I had to come up with a way to make sense of the world and be able to move through it and find happiness. Wow. Because I would say that was the one thing about my life that I always loved so much. And then when this thing happened, this catastrophic thing, and the reason I'm not focusing on an injury is because everybody deals with catastrophic things. It forced me to look at everything differently. And so we're there right now.
You isolated your thought.
I started to. Okay. So today what we're going to do is we're going to inspire by informing. And Jei'mar, you hit the nail right on the head. Oh, really? You got to show Tony.
I know. He's like,
Tony Romo?
Oh, man.
That's so rough.
No, hey.
That's the rise of a dynasty when he jumps in there. Like the fumble that he had in that one playoff game, it just all fell downhill from there. We hired Trevor Owens anyway. let's inform a little about awareness and thoughts. Jei'mar, talk about how you isolate your thoughts, man. How do you use your thoughts to create the better you?
Man, it is a practice, a daily practice and skill. Daily practice. Oh, Annie Mae, what's up? You smile.
Hey.
Yeah, you know what? Annie Mae, me and is very open. Annie and Mae and I are co-parents. We have our amazing daughter, Khalees Faith. I've known Annie for 28 years. Our daughter just turned 10. I love you, Khalees. Khalees Faith, love you, beauty.
I've already thinking about both the girls.
August. Hey, Annie, this is Coach D. Coach D's Annie Mae. But 28 years we've known each other, right? And she, got God's grace and 11 years ago, and now we have our daughter. But man, it makes it so easy so you want to talk about awareness and my thoughts. Perfect timing for her, because as a father, I'm never even thinking about where's my daughter at, right? Is she safe? Is she protected? Because I have a badass mom that holds the fort down, that takes care of her. And so when you have people in your life that you trust and people that that have your back, you don't need to have certain capacity thinking on things that doesn't need your energy, right? So for me, I'm always doing my best to laser focus, to be in the moment. Like before our pre-production, you're asking me how am I feeling. I'm like, man, there's always so many plates that are spinning, but every plate that's spinning is a plate that I want to spin intentionally, right? And here I'm doing my best to be laser focused and present here right now. And that's a skill. And Annie will tell you, my family will tell you, man, when I go to recharge and rest mode, like I shut everything down. Like I go in total dormant hibernation like a bear. That's just how I my peace, and that's how I refuel, and that's how I recharge. Because when I'm going, and when I'm somewhere, I want people to know that I'm there. That I'm physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I am there in the moment. I'm all in that moment. So for me, it's a skill, man. We practice it, and that's something that I think in the world we live in today, you got distractions, you got pivoting, you got so many different things that are changing. Right now, we got so many things flying at us at the same time, all these variables that we can't control. And if we don't master right now the ability to focus and be aware and be present and have that awareness of what we're doing and where we're at, like you said, what happens, Coach D, when someone, they don't have that awareness?
So everybody has a different perspective on what awareness is in their life. Right? It's a definition that is a thought and a feeling and an emotion that everybody has at some point. So when I hear you explain that your focus is to be present in the moment, I would say that that's a really good goal. And I have the same goal, but I'm a lot more crazy than you, Jei'mar. My brain's backwards, and it's most of the time it's shook up. So I definitely push towards trying to find that laser focus. But for whatever reason, let's just say I have 10 million thoughts, or you're a little bit better at isolating the ones that work for you. But what I want to do right now, as we go into the Inspire section of awareness this evening, is I'd like to kind of just establish a generic baseline. I went into the YouTube and I pulled out a video it's just quick, and this is going to kind of set the basis for what we're going to sort of poke at.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's take a look at the video. Tech Master.
Being authentic requires that you first be aware that you are a creative and conscious being, a created self. Awareness is observing. It's being able to objectively watch what's happening inside of you as if it was happening to someone else. It is the observer that is in each of us.
All right, Jei'mar, we brushed over it a little bit before we went over our little cartoon, and you started to talk about awareness a little bit. And I'd like you to get into it just a little bit more. You talked about how it shows up in your personal life, but let's get into a little bit more of the technical stuff, because here you are working through some times that are different. So talk to me about the awareness that you carry with you and I know generally what you'll probably say, because you say many spinning wheels all the same, but talk to me about the awareness and how you're able to shift from place to place. You can't be the same type of awareness with your young daughter as you are at work. So talk to me.
With awareness, when we talked about, right, we're on the mindful approach right now. Mindfulness, awareness, boom, purpose. So you got mindfulness and we have mindful. Mindfulness, and mindful, right? Mindfulness and mindful. The world we're in right now, there's so many things right now that are coming that can make the mind feel full. And when the mind is full, how are we going to be aware when there is no capacity? When we don't have the capacity to be in the moment, to be present. That's why it's so important for us to be mindful so we can be aware so we don't have a mind full.
Jei'mar, I feel like the one on the left is my brain and the one on the right is your brain.
No.
Like, that's it, bam, there you go, focus. And me, I got this yin and yang and tools and cars and caregivers and time and butterflies, all kind of stuff. I got a big heart though, Jei'mar. I like music.
Man, we got the same. We're all human. Here's the thing: we're all human. We all got a lot going on, man. Like we all got so much going on, right? It's just comes down to the practice. Remember, practice makes permanent. Practice makes permanent. And for me, when we talk about patterns, we're always talking about things that are happening where it's thought or what is the pattern of something. Neurons that fire together, wire together, man. Neurons that fire together, wire together. And it's a pattern. So being mindful, being present, being aware is a pattern that we must create. And it takes conscious effort to focus on being aware, being mindful. And that doesn't happen today just by making that decision. It's something that we must act out. It's a skill that we must develop, like millions of other skills in our life that we need to develop. But mindfulness is a skill. And you know what, Coach D? It's always evident when you're coming across someone who has a mind full and just interacting with that person. And
You're pointing at me. I feel like you're pointing at me, Jei'mar.
No, I'm not pointing at you. That's
No,
my
you
thought.
should.
This is my thought. Hey, I'm like thinking right now. No, mindfulness is a skill, man. And this is not the time. I'm going to tell you right now, vested community, this is not the time for you to be learning how to have bandwidth and capacity. Learning how to have mindfulness and bandwidth and capacity and awareness for the first time in the COVID reflection, man, is way too heavy. So that's why if we stay ready, we don't have to get ready, right? And no one knew a year ago that we were going to be here today dealing with all of the different challenges of life, but it's making us better. It's making us stronger. It's equipping us. Man, think about right now. I call it the COVID reflection. You want to talk about awareness, Coach D, because the COVID reflection has made us more aware of so much in life. And some people are aware more of the darkness that they're aware of. And there's some people that are more aware of the light. And like we were talking about this before that, man, before our meeting, right? Light and dark, where we want to focus.
Well, let's transition from mindfulness because the whole map is a succession type thing. So for me, I don't want to say I wasn't intentional about the way that I did things because I was really good at getting a goal and moving towards it and accomplishing it. Even if it was big, I learned how to work really hard and do it. But when I became mindful, and I'm talking about everything that's going on around me, I started to recognize that there was just so much noise and there were so many moving parts that I might be a part of it and I might not be a part of it. But either way, there was all this different stuff going on in my mind. So as I started to kind of go inward and reflect upon my thoughts and to try to find out who I was and what all the programming was that was going off that I might or might not be in control of and whatnot, it was kind of like a prison riot. It was like all the guards were being held hostage by the prisoners, and the guards represented my happy thoughts. And it was really hard to bring those happy thoughts loose when the prison was run amok. So what I started to do, and we'll get into the create portion of this, but when I started to meditate, I recognized that it was time to get a little bit of order. There was a ton of chaos. So the next video that I'm going to show you guys is an example of how things happen, and you think you see what's going on. You think you're picking everything up, but sometimes there's so much noise that it's hard to isolate the thought that you want to move towards because things are happening in the background that you might not be paying attention to. Tech master, roll the clip.
Mm.
Here's your challenge. How many people in orange shirts get subs? Go. Seven people in orange shirts got subs. But what else did you see? Did you notice the ice cream truck change to a pizza truck? Did you notice the glasses? What about the man leaving the suspicious package next to the truck?
Crazy, right? So as we're trying to be mindful and all these thoughts are popping up, you think you're looking for the orange shirt. You're trying to isolate what you think you're trying to isolate, but what you don't realize is that when you're doing that, so much else is going on, not only in your mind, but in your life that you are in control of, that you aren't in control of. So you're going to have to come up with some sort of method. And when it really comes down to it, we got to focus on how mindfulness leads to the awareness. So as we move and transition into the creation portion, how is it that once we start to be mindful about our thoughts and once we start to utilize a practice to be able to isolate the ones we want to move towards, how are we going to create with that? And in a lot of ways, some of the stuff that comes up makes it really difficult. Like that bag that was put by the truck that was giving out the subs. Now, if that's a bomb and nobody grabs it, then it blows up and ruins everything. And I don't mean to have this drastic explosion example, but that bag got me these last 2 weeks. So in this COVID reflection, I'm doing my very best to learn from everything and move forward with grace and not try to stumble too much. But as I said it last week, that sometimes we experience things that happen outside of our control that aren't so comfortable. And we can loop it and be depressed and let it derail us. And this is what I'm getting at. That's the bag. Sometimes stuff's uncomfortable. Sometimes you don't catch that the pizza truck used to be an ice cream truck, and that's not really a big deal. But if we're aware of these little things, like let's just say diet, let's just say sleeping habits, let's just say mental awareness of our emotional body and where we're at. If you're not aware of these little cues and little signs, then all that noise gets louder and louder and louder. So as I'm sitting here trying to cruise my way through the COVID reflection, and I've isolated my thoughts and I meditate, I had moved away from the things that were getting in the way of me succeeding. In doing so, those had an opportunity to gain strength and momentum. So now that I had centered myself and I was ready to deal with the world and all my problems, it turned out that those little few things got bigger. And that would move us into the creation portion of how we get through it and how we're going to create a strategy to be able to accept what's going on and to be able to come up with a plan to move through it. So, Jei'mar, what do you do when you have a lot of thoughts when most of them might not necessarily fit into you being in the moment like you say you be?
Oh, man.
Like excited.
Man, okay. You guys are as vested community, and anyone who listens to this and hears this now and forever, I want to say 2 words: junk drawer. Junk drawer. You ever seen a junk? I got a junk drawer in my house. Like that's, the junk drawer. You go to the junk drawer, you can pull out like a battery. You got a coupon for like 1980. You got a paper clip. You got this sticky note. You got a highlighter that's been dry for the last 5 years. Like you got a penny in there. You know what I mean? Like if you ever want a penny, just go to the junk drawer. You know there's a penny in there somewhere. My point is, you got a thumbtack. You got you got everything in there. You got 12 pins. The junk drawer. I think a lot of people in life junk drawer life, and compartmentalization is also an art. And so you think about a drawer. If you go to the drawer and you want to go and get your socks, right? You want to go and get your T-shirt, you know, your underwear or your panties or whatever it is, right? You know, hopefully those are all not in one drawer, right? They're all in their different compartment. Or if you're going to a cabinet, right? And there's different compartments in the cabinet. Not everything is just in one drawer. When we as people, when we don't learn or we don't develop the ability to compartmentalize, that creates the mind full, right? Because everything is just there. It's just there. It's not in its individual compartments. And so it's also good. It's also not good to totally compartmentalize to the point where you're numb to everything. That's not either. Like, so we got to find that balance of compartmentalization, healthy balance. But man, just today, when one of my business coaches, Wheezy, I love you. One of my business coaches said, Jei'mar, she was like, you know, in the COVID reflection right now, how are you keeping your mindset the way it is? She's like, you know, in this political climate, in this darkness, fear climate, like all this uncertainty, like, how do you do it? And I said, Wheezy, I choose to only focus on the light. You know, I don't give any energy. So like in that video we just showed, right? Where did every one of us, even me, because that was the first time I saw that video, even me, I was giving all of my energy, it teed it up for us, to the people in the orange shirts getting the sub. So where was everyone looking? Everyone was giving the energy focused on the people in the orange shirts grabbing the sub. No one even saw the ice cream truck turn into a pizza truck, or the guy over here potentially could be a Unabomber over there, but no one saw that, you know, because we were all focused on the orange shirts. So where we focus, energy flows. Where energy flows, things grow. So right now for me, and I want to encourage everyone out there, where are you focused? Are you the type of person who's watching the news every day? If you that person, go on a news diet. Stop. You know, are you the person out there, you know, in the political campaign, like it is your campaign? It's all good to have your political views. I don't care what your political choice is. I love you either way, but also have the balance there, right? You know, I'm not looking at the political climate. I'm not looking at the COVID climate. Am I going to vote? Yes, I get to vote. But am I over here focused on, like, man, losing sleep about who's going to win the campaign? No. I'm not focused there. I'm focused on crushing life, dominating life, helping people, expanding, stretching, being the best version of myself, and helping more people. That's where I'm focused. So when it comes down to it, Coach D, and the awareness, we're going to be aware of the things that we focus on. And sometimes our focus is on the junk drawer.
Jei'mar, I love you. And
I love you too, bro.
I can get behind, and it's all well and good. And we all know that in order to create in our lives anywhere, it's one step, then the next, then the next, then the next. But sometimes when you flip the karma coin and you're on a good heater and you're on a good win streak and you are able to kind of skip a few steps, you don't get the learning lessons of understanding what it means to take one to the next, to the next, to the next. And you're just like, you know what, I'll get around to that. I'll figure that out later. But where I'm going with this is that as I started, okay, I don't want to say I skipped steps, but I was talented in certain ways, or maybe I got away with some stuff. As I started to reflect back on my life, you say COVID reflection, but when my life got slowed down a little bit and I had to move through some chaos and I was being mindful, I started to become aware of some things that weren't very easy to move through. And I had created all those things. So there was this new self-mastery that I didn't exactly, I wanted to move towards it, but maybe not so fast, because all this up in my face was my fault and it's very hard to deal with. And I feel like us as a society, a lot of times we move away from the things that are very difficult, like we'll get to them later, but maybe they don't get worked out and they're just kind of sitting in the balance. And then you have to, bam, do it. So I don't know, man. You're going to have to just accept some of those things that are lingering, because as you're becoming aware, as you're reflecting upon how you're going to isolate your best thoughts, good chance that there's more nonsense than good thoughts. And just like Jei'mar said, you're going to just have to work through these. You're going to have to accept the idea that whether you created them or not, it's your life and it's what you're up to.
Right.
The whole pool of thoughts and experiences that you have up to this point, none of those things are going to move you into the success that's next. So you got to start pulling things in from the outside that you truly believe are going to get you to where you need to go. Jei'mar, I use meditation. Now, we beat that word up, and every hippie and hipster across the entire United States is putting forth an effort. I would like you to kind of explain to everybody how you know what meditation is, and you don't necessarily, fold your legs and put on our own music, but you do a version of it that I'd like you to share so that our viewers can kind of get a very practical version of how the concept of meditation can be used in many different ways, in many different forms. So will you share what you do, Jei'mar?
Absolutely, man. And real quick before we embark on that, Crispin, what's up, bro? Thank you for throwing that up there about Goggins. Hey, if you guys haven't heard of the book by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, that book right there is fire. And just like Crispin is saying here, right, embrace the suck, like what Coach D was talking about. We have to be aware, even when it's something that makes us uncomfortable, embracing that, right? That embracement empowers us, right? But here, to answer your question, Coach D, about, the meditation, and for me, I look at my relationship, my faith. I'm faith-based, man. I'm faith-based. Meditating is when we're the way I see it, focused, right, on a thought, focused on what we want to manifest. And for me, I have unlimited support, supernatural support. And some people right now are hearing the word supernatural, like what probably never even heard of the word before, or they think it's like some word that's just, it doesn't mean nothing. It's not real. I believe in supernatural. I believe supernatural is just as real as my cell phone. This is just natural, and then there's supernatural. So for me, when I'm always operating in my day, I'm doing my best to stay connected to the creator and the source. I'm a human being too. I get off track too, right? But I know where like the flow comes from. I know who has my back. I know who opens the door. I know who gives me the protection, who protects my family, gives me the opportunities, gives me the energy. And for me, that helps me stay in that place of meditation, that place of faith, that place of focus and awareness, because I'm always aware, for me, of the surrounding of the Father, and of every single day when we look for it, man, there's blessings everywhere. There's blessings everywhere, man. There's so much to be grateful for, so much to be thankful for. And when you look at that, that's a state of meditation. That is something where it could be a daily practice all day, but you're actually not meditating sitting on a yoga mat with your legs in Indian position, or sitting there and you're not saying nothing for 2 minutes. That's not all what meditation is, right? I mean, you could be in a meditative state all day long and just really just flowing through that vibration.
So my brother Derek just commented about how his son watches a cartoon called Adventure Time, and he says that sucking is the first step towards being good at something, and it absolutely is. So that's a perfect transition. Jei'mar, what you've done, okay, if it's fair to say, is that in your own way, and like you said, it's not the typical look it up Eastern version of meditation, yoga, yada, yada. In your own way, you have been mindful about isolating thoughts that are worthy of moving towards. And the reason that I named my business Need to Believe is because you shouldn't be doing anything that you don't believe in, because there's a certain energy that comes with belief. And that is the magic. You got to have the magic to make stuff happen. So if you're just going through the motions, whether it's a job or a relationship or something,
wow,
you absolutely have to believe with all your heart. So what Jei'mar just explained to us is that he has a faith that's so strong and a support system that's so strong that he believes undoubtedly 100% of the time that he can lean into that, even when he's struggling. So there's a grace portion to the way he moves about himself and the way he moves about life. It's that even when stuff is uncomfortable, that there's a certain component of his dedication that is the answer for that. So the reason I went into detail is because I didn't find that out the easy way. I had faith. I do have faith. But then I had this little loophole thing that I thought that I could justify. So when I wasn't just intuitively following what it is that I thought that I should be doing. I would get myself into a little negotiation with my mind and my heart. And when I did that, I kind of separated them. And sometimes the ego or the head just took over. And that would oftentimes really hurt the heart. And I'd have to spend half my time cleaning up the mess that the brain or the ego made. So what I'm getting at is that when I started to be mindful and I started to isolate my thoughts, there was a lot of crap, and I created most of it. So I feel like the way we can utilize, because nothing happens on accident. The crap you can use, man. You can use it.
Come on.
Look, when something stings, it means that immediate action is required. And if you're just going to react, then it's going to be dicey. But if you take that sting and you accept it for what it is, and you look at it and you say, no matter what's happened, no matter what created this sting, I was a part of it. I had a relationship with something else, which means that some of this I did, even if it was just a little bit of it. So there is an opportunity to look at it and say, okay, if I didn't get the desired outcome, what could I have done differently to get that desired outcome? So when you get these thoughts and you get these feelings that pop up that are so unfair, that is so ridiculous, and they hurt so bad, and they are the reason why you're not accomplishing what you want to accomplish, just turn it around. That sting is the answer. It hurts, you avoid it because you know you should be dealing with it. So the next thing we'll do is we'll move on to empowerment. And we just put a icon up that says ego. Okay. Now, Jei'mar, in your realm of the world, a lot of people say that means edging God out. I agree with that. But when you move the E, you can go, just like it says right there in the picture. So I find that as we move into the empowerment section of what we're up to today, you need to get excited about what it is that you're going to move towards. And it's part of belief. If you believe something is there and you believe it happens and you're going to have faith in it, it's because it's exciting and it gives you that energy that you want to move towards. So Jei'mar, let's utilize this opportunity right now to tell everybody how you are empowered by your awareness.
Man, right there with the ego is something that we all have, including me. We're never going to meet a person who doesn't have an ego in some capacity. And the beauty of the ego can destroy us or the ego can elevate us. We all have some aspect of the ego, right? And so I do believe that it's good that we have a healthy balance of ego. But it's when our ego can look like so many different things, right? There's no one shape or one shade of ego, right? And for having the empowerment and being aware, the first step of knowing that you have the ego, right, is being aware that there's the ego, right? And so that right there, having an let me back up. Being totally aware, self-aware is a very empowering place to be. And even when we're aware of what we may not be doing, what we should be doing, or we know that we're not playing at a level we should play, or we know that we're not, whatever it is, just having that awareness is empowering. And here's the challenge is like the mind is so strong that we can be self-aware of something that hurts or stings or something that we may not be doing or we should be doing or whatever it is. And those thoughts can come and we can consume condemnation. We can consume guilt. We can consume fear. We can consume regret. We can consume frustration. We can consume chaos. And so having the awareness is very important, but also we got to make sure that we decipher what we do with those thoughts, because one negative seed of thought and we plant it in there and we let that negative seed get in our heart, oh man, that thing can grow a bush weed so fast. Next thing you know, we've been pissed off for like 4 months. We've been in a dark place for 10 years.
Okay, I'm following you, but what happens when you're in a situation where, it's not so exciting, the lesson, and it's not so empowering? Where do you go with, like, for instance, Crispin brings up this question, like, what do you do when the support system that you want to lean on or you thought that you could isn't there, or let's just say that you need to have faith and you need to be empowered by something, but just religion ain't doing it for you. It's not exciting. It doesn't, it doesn't get you up and blow your sails, man. Like, what do you do?
Man, so here's the thing, Chris, I love you, bro. Thank you for your transparency there and your openness. Man, I've been blessed my entire life to have amazing support system everywhere I go. And I'm just telling you, I'm being real. I'm not the guy, like when you look about David Goggins' story, you listen to his story, man, that is a story, right? That, wow, how he overcame that. I didn't have that kind of story background, but what I did have is I've always been around people who love me. I've always been around people who said they believe in me. I've always been around an encouraging environment. Like that's where I've chosen to. I've been chosen to stay there, right?
Okay. Technical difficulties that involve being in a wheelchair, so everybody's just gonna roll with it.
No, you're good, man. You're good. But here, looking at this, is that with the religion, I'm not a religious person, Crispin. Like I'm not religious. I have a relationship. And so my message here, I encourage Coach D, I encourage Rebecca, our tech team, I encourage everyone who ever sees this to have your own personal relationship of your foundation of faith, however you want to define it. That's the best part about it, is that anything that man or woman are tied to falls short. So man is part of religion. Woman is part of religion. Therefore, religion will fall short. The church falls short. Any organizational structure of faith falls short because we are involved as human beings. Anything we do, it falls short. I'm never encouraging religion. You will never hear me use the word religion. I believe in relationship. I encourage Coach D to have his own personal relationship with his creator, his faith, however he wants to define it. And that's what I do. I just know that with my faith, who the creator is, and I encourage other people to consider looking at faith in that way. That's for me. That's how, Crispin, I would encourage you to, if you have questions, man, talk to the universe, talk to the creator, be bold. Hey, if you're out there, talk to me, show me a sign, communicate, let me know. Hey, I need help. Man, there's so many times, so many prayers I've said where I said, help. And that was it.
Or create it, Crispin. I mean, like, we're talking about this on the show, inspire, create, and empower. Like, create it within yourself. I got into meditation. I didn't touch on it too much, but the idea of isolating or being mindful of your thoughts would be to be able to move towards thoughts that make you feel good. And the more you do that, the more you create that within yourself, you'll start to be able to create it outside yourself as well. So if we're following the map, if we're going from, last week of being mindful, this week of being aware, and that leads us to acceptance, let's get into a little bit of how it moves us all towards purpose. Specifically me, I never asked for the way things unfolded for me.
I love you, bro.
Thank you. I accept things as they are, even though if I were to sit down and write the most desired place to be right now, it definitely wouldn't be in a wheelchair. But that's besides the point, because I think that once you start to become aware of how things are happening to you in your life, once you start to be able to isolate the idea that this is your existence and you get to move it in whatever direction you want. Jei'mar talked about earlier how if you are present in the now, if you can recognize that this Damien, this meat suit, is what I'm working with, whether it's in a chair, standing, running, driving, doesn't make a difference. Then I can step away from the emotions that might be involved with the freak out associated with it. When that started to happen in my life, more opportunity would pop up. I can't say that it was all good. Sometimes the opportunity was bad. Sometimes the magnetic stuff that I was putting out with my thoughts as I was sifting through all the crap, I hadn't yet learned this mechanism to recognize that this thing was worthy. So I was still moving away from it. And when I did that, it just made it really difficult. But as I started to become more aware of what was going on, I started to be able to accept it for what it was. And in doing that, it's incredibly empowering. There are millions of things that I cannot do as a quadriplegic in a wheelchair. Millions. And if I sat around and I focused on all that crap every day, nothing would ever get done. I recognize that there's probably only a handful of things, like maybe 10, 12, 100, whatever, that I can do real well. So I don't have enough time in the day to do all those either. So I started to focus on what really made me happy. Stuff that I could do that made me feel great. Whether I was in a wheelchair or not, I realized something, that the whole reason why I wanted to get out of the wheelchair in the first place is so that I can go out into the world and make a difference. And then I recognized that I've been dealt a hand that was a platform to just basically go anywhere and have people listen to me open-heartedly. It could be executives. It could be in the middle of a gang war. It could be the government. And I offer no harm. I go in there with an open mind and an open heart. And I get to help people understand themselves. And that is about as empowering as it gets. That excites me. I'm excited to get up and live my life, empowered to make a difference. And I'm sitting in a wheelchair and I have to have people bring things to me. Hey, listen, shout out to my caregiver, Brad. He definitely held it down. He took a job 2 days a week as a Saturday, Sunday, 3-hour-a-day caregiver. And things happened and we grew a relationship. We became friends, and he ended up like being my caregiver 7 days a week because of this COVID thing. We can't hire anybody, but now I have nobody. He had to move on in his own direction to greener pastures for whatever reason. And most of the time in my life, that is about the most least empowering thing that could possibly happen to me, okay? Now, all of a sudden, I don't know how I'm going to get up tomorrow morning. I have no idea. I'm going to take a shower or go to the bathroom. And in a lot of situations, people would freak out. I used to freak out. I would be totally straight with you. I've spent most of the day not preparing for this show, but trying to meditate to find out where the lesson is in all of this. And the empowerment that I've experienced hasn't really been the most comfortable. But as I work my way through this process, as I start to take these thoughts and run them through the passion engine to get that fire going in my belly, it gave me inspiration to be able to share vulnerably with you guys how this sucks, man, in a way that added value to my purpose. And happiness, man, isn't always just sugar-coated, man. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's dirty, and sometimes it's dark. If you're going to take a grace approach, you got to accept it all. And I'm working on it, guys. I'm not great at it.
Oh, man.
I'm working on it. And Brad, thank you, man. I really respect the fact that you did what you need to do to pursue your purpose in your life. And I thank you very much for helping me more than you ever thought that you would when you first took the job. So if you're listening to this, bro, you're the man. All right, man. I have a little video about empowerment that I think gives a nice little wrap up, especially after, how we started this thing and put down a nice little definition. We did a little exercise. And Jei'mar, I want you to kind of round out the empowerment thing for us. I think you did a really good job of finding a way to be able to help people access the idea that it's not just meditation, that there's so many different ways and opportunities to be empowered and to be able to create and to be inspired by it all. Can you just kind of recap the empowerment thing and push us off purpose for next week?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And also, on this frequency, I want to just highlight Crispin real quick, man. And Crispin, just know that you're in an empowering place because of the question you even asked, the questions you ask, which is, without you arriving at awareness, you can't ask those questions, right? And those questions can create, empowerment. And so when we're here to talk about empowerment and understanding our identity of who we are. And by the way, you guys saw Joyce Baker. That's my mom. Mom, I love you. I have such an amazing mom. My mom, I go to my mom's house real quick, Coach J. I'll go to my mom's house. I'll just sleep. And she's like, Jei'mar, are you okay? I'm like, what the hell? Mom, I'm great.
I'm recharging. Yeah, I'm recharging.
I'm recharging, Mom. She's like, but it's good to talk to the family. I'm like, Mom, I love you. It's like,
I'm sorry. How about?
I know, Mom. I'm resting. But here it is. With the empowerment, it's awareness for all of us is different, right? It's all of us, and none of us learns the same way. None of us, I heard this before. Two people don't arrive at I love you together at the same time. You like that? And that when I heard that, I was like, man, that's such a powerful understanding of how two people could be in a space together with each other, but one person can arrive at love at a different time than another person, and vice versa. And one person can fall out of love before another person. My point is, when we're having awareness, when we're being empowered, it's not the same for everyone. It's not the same journey. It's not the same experience. We all have our own journey to go, and that's the beauty of this, man. And so it's so empowering to understand that we're perfectly imperfect. We're perfectly imperfect. And I just want to encourage everyone out there, give yourself grace. Coach D talks about grace and karma. Just give yourself grace at where you're at right now, your vibration of life, how you feel, how you see, becoming more aware, how you're empowering yourself in this moment. Like, just be present, And so I'm so grateful to be here, Coach D, and that empowerment, man. We want to, what Coach D and I are doing here, and the reason why we come here, because we want to empower other people to go out there and kick ass. Go out there and kick ass. However, whatever it is you want to do, go do it. You want to start a podcast, go do it. You want to write a book, go do it. You want to bake cookies, go do it. You want to start a new business, go do it. You want to do whatever it is you want to go do it. You want to get out of the funk that you're in, go do it. Like, man, this is the time. And so, Coach D, I get me fired up right now, Coach D, on empowerment.
And do you think it's important to believe that it's possible? I mean,
oh, man.
Should we believe that it's possible that we can accomplish whatever we want tomorrow?
Yes, absolutely, man. My mom says, be empowered in your uniqueness. God created all of us. And here's the thing. Remember, Coach G, I don't care what anyone believes, whether they believe in God or don't believe in God. I believe in God's Son, the Holy Spirit. That's my faith. I love you, whatever you believe out there in the universe, vested community. But I believe God gave us all talents. God gave us all, talking about purpose, all gave us gifts and superpowers. Right? All of us have it, And so, like my mom said, uniqueness, and we all have it. And we all have gifts. And once we really understand it and become aware, right, and it's an empowering place that we don't need to be perfect, right? Perfect. I mean, who wants to be perfect? So here, as an empowering message, we want to empower the world, Coach D. I want to.
Dude, we're doing it right now, man. Right in this moment.
Belief
believes in us. We will.
But if
perfect caregiver, I believe the science.
Come on, believe. Hey,
that's the community, as big as you are, as small as you are. If you know a caregiver, if someone needs a job, I could, hey, let's do it.
Thank you, God, for sending Coach D the right caregiver. Boom.
Hey, let's have it. I'll accept it. I'm here. Let's do it. I'll receive it.
And believing is important, man.
We're just looking for another rider. Hey, Jei'mar, my present is your presence, my friend. In this now, I am happy to be empowering people. You've empowered me. I do a little poking around on YouTube. I like to try to find videos that are short so they don't drag out, stuff that you might watch on Instagram or Facebook. This next one's a little longer, but I tried to cut it, and my wife tried to tell me, but it would have busted the integrity of it. Jei'mar, we're going to roll this clip. It's going to be like a couple of minutes. Try to hang in there, everybody. This is some good stuff. There's a lot of really good information if you poke around and you know the right places to go. I was extremely empowered by this video. I really hope you guys are too.
Have you any idea the number of people that are in a prison of their own making and don't even know it? You know people like that. They live in a tiny little place. Good information is given to them. They seem to reject it. And I don't think mentally they just outright reject it. They just don't do it. And so they stay stuck. They're stuck in a place they don't like. Why would they do that? The paradigm is so strong, and it affects the image so much, that the person really doesn't believe that they could do that, be that good. But the truth is, you can. And as you alter the awareness, everything in your life starts to change. How do I expand my level of awareness? Well, here's your answer. It's effective education combined with professional coaching over a reasonable period of time will eliminate virus code and expand the person's level of awareness. I believe the only way to do this is study. I don't think there is another way. Now, there's all kinds of forms of study, but it's essential that you study. We say it's a sad thing when you see a child that's afraid of the dark. I'll tell you something a lot sadder is when you see an adult that's afraid of the light. Yeah. Money you can get back. Time you're never going to get back. The time you spend here, you will never, ever get it back. You're trading your time for what? Think. Spirit's always for expansion and fuller expression. It's always for expansion and fuller expression. There's something within you, if you get in touch with it, that wants to expand and express itself in a greater way. And if you check your results, you'll know how well you're doing it. And if you don't like your results, you should have a real good talk to you.
Wow.
Thanks there, Bob Proctor. That was really empowering.
Man, that was fire right there, Coach D.
Good stuff, right?
Wow.
All right, Jei'mar, here we are. That's episode 8. So we came here to inform. We were able to, kind of help everybody isolate some thoughts and be able to explore a little bit. We did a little creativity and shared our perspectives on, I said meditation. You gave some practical examples of how you meditate without actually crossing your legs and, humming to the gods. And then, I don't know, man, I think we did pretty good with empowerment as well, man. I think we're in a really good time, and we're in a situation where we're turning inward and being able to explore ourselves and become more aware so that we can accept things as they are. It's going to move us right into week 3. Purpose. Talk to me about awareness and how it's going to lead us into purpose next week, man.
Man, look at this. First of all, I'm aware of, man? I'm aware of that you inspired me, which is why I'm here. And we came together to create something super amazing. I'm so grateful to see where God takes us and takes this. And we together are focused on the mission to empower the world. So that's what I want to talk about, man. Without you, Coach D, I wouldn't be here. I love you, bro, man. And next week we're going to be embarking on that purpose journey. And brother, I'm here with you. We're rolling to the end of the universe. And if you understand what I know, the universe don't end. So, man, Coach D, where do you want to go from here? Are you
next week it's purpose. Like we said, we're going to take the map right into our final destination. And when we do that, I'd like to kind of let everybody know that next week I've decided to give away a free coaching session at the end of this map. I want to help people go on this journey, and I want to be able to do it with you guys together. So I'm empowered by what we're doing. I was able to get my master's in executive coaching during this COVID reflection. I've had a lot of really good support to help get me there, and I want to be able to support you in your journey. So, Jei'mar, I love you, man. We did it again. 8 episodes. Here we go. We keep moving along, and I feel like we're gaining some momentum. We're answering some questions, and we're actually offering some good stuff. So let's wrap it up, Jei'mar. I don't know, Mike. You invested? Are you invested?
And we got 8. Then we're gonna be at 80. Then we're gonna be at 800. Then we're gonna be at 8,000. We're here to inspire, create, and empower. And whatever you do out there, vested community, make sure you're vested. And like Coach G said, make sure you believe in what you're doing so you can help more people. Hey, we love you. Are you vested?